morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am AC James C. Pajarito, fourth year student currently taking up BS Aeronautical Engineering, your program host for today's special virtual event. On behalf of Fiat University, welcome to the 2022 Founders Day and Doña Victoria Lopez Araneta's 115th birth anniversary celebration. We would like to acknowledge the presence of our university officials, faculty members, administrative staff, students, parents, and alumni. Joining us also today are the family members of our dear founders. Thank you all for gracing this special event. This time of the year, we wouldn't want to miss an important day to celebrate the lives of the icons of the university. the pillars of the first school that taught Filipinos how to fly and fix airplanes in the Philippines. Salvador Zaragoza Araneta and Victor Lopez Araneta. Remember that the dramatic effect, not to mention the great devastation of World War II, to the country was still fresh in the minds of the people in 1946. But our founders were so brave, dauntless, and way ahead of their time that they set their sights on moving forward to help rebuild the nation. For this year's Founders Day celebration, we highlight the perspective of the family of our beloved founders. Through the eyes of their family and close relatives, we delve into their beautiful life on a different light. As loving husband and wife, as nurturing parents to their 5 children, and as doting lolo and lola to their grandchildren. Oh, that's interesting. As we get up close and personal with our beloved founders, which is really something to look forward to in today's program. But first off, let us welcome our Dean of the College of Engineering and Director of Research, Development and Extension Services, and a member of FIATI Board of Trustees, Dr. Rogelio A. Panlasigi, to deliver the opening remarks.
Good morning. On this, our Founders Day and the celebration of the 115th birthday of Doña Victoria Araneta, our special greetings to our CEO and Mrs. Francisco Araneta Segovia and family. And greetings to our President, Dr. Adolfo Jesus Lopez, our Chairman of the Board, Dr. Gloria Alberto, and our FIATI officials, faculty and staff, and our dear students and parents. We take pride and honor in recalling that after World War II and the devastation it brought to our country, Don Salvador and Doña Victoria Araneta established the first Filipino-owned airline in the Philippines and subsequently established FIATI Institute of Technology in 1946 to train and develop aircraft mechanics and engineers for the maintenance and operation of the airline industry. FIATI pioneered in aeronautical engineering and aircraft maintenance technology and got directly involved in rebuilding the workforce and engineering capability of the country. FIATI was given recognition as university by the Department of Education in 1959 with Doña Victoria as its president, the very first woman president of a technical university. FIATI has continuously evolved to produce competent professionals in various fields, and today it's known in the areas of aeronautics, engineering, which now includes railway engineering, maritime, architecture, business, tourism management, customs administration, fine arts and communications. And as our moderator has mentioned, today we're highlighting the viewpoints of the family members of our beloved founders, Don Salvador and Doña Victoria Araneta. As we move on during this time of the pandemic, which has brought ourselves closer to our own families, we do appreciate this opportunity to hear from the family members of our beloved founders. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you, Dean Palasigi, for enlightening message. We may all live up to the values and aspirations that were espoused by our founders. And now, let us delight ourselves with some refreshing discoveries on our founders, especially on Doña Victoria Lopez Araneta, whose 115th birth anniversary is being commemorated today. We appreciate this rare opportunity to have a glimpse on the private life of the power couple as the family share their memories and reminiscences and how they made an impact in their lives. Let us continue this annual tradition of honoring the founders of FIATI through this audiovisual presentation.
In 2007, Ms. Bettina Teodoro, 27th grandchild of FIATI founders Salvador Zaragoza Araneta and Victoria Lopez Araneta, wrote and designed a beautiful digital book entitled VLA in commemoration of Victoria L. Araneta's 100th birthday. The book is full of stories and detailed accounting of her life, her love, and family life with Don Salvador that we can't help but share with the Fiati community some excerpts, quotes, clips, photos, and snippets based from memoirs. May this serve as an inspiration of a life of service and a life well and greatly lived. Born to wealth, she did not have to work. Sheltered, she did not have to meet the world. But, wanting to share her life with that of others, she broke through the wall of sugar bricks, determining her faith to herself. The Lord tested her and blessed her, and she was grateful. More, she was good. I've come to realize that hers was indeed a treasured life. The good Lord placed her on this earth for His purpose, to constantly test her. She hurdled her challenges with Herculean grace, and she served Him well. Mother weathered all her disappointments and reversals with unwavering faith that no matter how bad a hand fate had dealt her, she still had so much to be thankful for. This was her never-ending mantra. The little girl who was born in a faithless house grew up to become a strong defender of her beliefs and her God. May she now have all these in heaven too. Though she is no longer here, the experience was still vibrant and personal, and probably more rich than any we had shared when she was alive. Over the last couple of months, I have heard her voice in my head telling me about the different phases of her life, from privileged daughter of Iloilo, belle of Manila society, a wife and mother, to war survivor, university president, businesswoman, political exile, widow, and grandmother. My grandmother was also generous and charismatic, prone to fits of pride and stubbornness, an admirer of beauty, a tireless worker, and someone who always went out of her way to make others feel special. Victoria is one of the daughters of Ana Ledesma and Eusebio Villanueva Lopez, a lawyer and wealthy man in his own right. The couple had already given some of their children to Eusebio's childless sisters and relatives. Salvador and Carmen Laguda were disconsolate at the loss of Emma, cheered only when Eusebio and his wife, Ana, offered them baby Victoria as a replacement. So Victoria went to Manila, to a house on Resurrección Hidalgo, the same street as the home of Carmen and Gregorio Araneta. There, she reigned like a tyrant and a despot over her willing mama and papa, as she would refer to Carmen and Salvador Laguda for the rest of her life. They were not rich, but the love they gave me more than compensated for all Tilda's fortune, Victoria wrote in her diary. The first 5 years of my life was lavished with love I did not deserve, but freely accepted. I dearly prized and treasured those moments in that happy house, where I was the center of 2 lives. I was loved unconditionally, and oh how much I was loved. I carry that memory all through my life. After Carmen Laguda's death, Salvador and Victoria moved into the house of Victoria's parents, at number 34, Calle is North. Despite living in the same home as her parents, at number 34, Victoria remained firmly under Salvador Laguda's care, and the two were each other's constant companions. Victoria became a devout Catholic at an early age, despite the best efforts of her father's family, vehemently anti-Catholic as a result of the Spanish persecution of the Filipinos, including members of their own family. Things changed when it became clear Carmen Laguda was going to die. Salvador immediately left the house to fetch a priest. Eusebio allowed one exception to the no Catholics rule: Victoria. Although he offered some initial resistance, he allowed Carmen and Salvador Laguda to have Victoria baptized at Quiapo Church in Manila, with her tío Juan Ledesma as her godfather. He also wanted Victoria to be a proper lady, and so he knew he had to send her to the best school, which in Iloilo happened to be the Assumption Convent run by European nuns. In this Catholic environment, Victoria experienced her religious awakening. She was aided in part by her fragmented early childhood, which made her yearn for love and comfort. As for Victoria, she believed she was literally in the presence of God, having learned in school that a priest is his representative. As Victoria the young girl grew into Victoria the young lady, so her social life evolved to include more elaborate parties, which Victoria always attended, chaperoned by her mother or another suitable relative. She was a member of two prominent social clubs that organized parties and outings that were regularly reported in the newspapers. In addition, Victoria often participated in events organized by the Bachelors Club, whose president at one time was Salvador Araneta. Those who knew Victoria later in life would say she was naturally sociable. When Victoria first heard about the young man named Salvador Araneta, she immediately declared she wasn't interested. Salvador spoke mainly in Spanish, which Victoria, fluent in Visayan and English, did not speak too well. She figured Salvador wasn't her type. A few days later, Victoria was dragged by her mother to a tea party given by Senator Francisco Soriano at his home on Heron Street. It was a delightful tea party. Salvador was there and he went out of his way to be pleasant and attentive. I thought he was a show-off the first time I met him, but now I changed my mind. He was delightful. I was exhilarated. Mother was pleased to meet him, and at most, Mother was on the lookout for a good man. She lost no time praising him and making it clear he was her choice. For 2 years, Victoria kept her feelings about Salvador to herself. So it came as a great surprise to her when at 3 o'clock on August 13, 1927, Salvador called and said he was coming to see her. Once there, he wasted no time in asking her to marry him tomorrow. When her mother returned home, she passed on Salvador's instructions to go to the Capuchin Church of Lourdes in Intramuros for the 5 a.m. Mass, and then to the St. Joseph Chapel at the Manila Cathedral for the wedding ceremony. As soon as the wedding was over, Victoria and Salvador went to see her Papa Laguda. She introduced him to Salvador and told him the news. Papa, still in his pajamas, did not say much, but went to his room and returned with a check for 15,000 pesos. Salvador, according to Victoria, was so rattled by his new wife with all this money, not to mention a hot car in the car, a Japanese driver and a maid. He, on the other hand, had just 150 pesos and had to call his brother to send in additional funds. Victoria went into labor at 6 p.m. on December 13, 1928. The baby finally arrived the next morning. It was a girl, whom they named Maria del Carmen Lucia. Victoria and Salvador decided to build a home of their own and purchase land in Mandaluyong for 17,000 pesos. Victoria often referred to their property, located in between Shaw and what is now known as 9 de Febrero Street, as the last frontier. The first 14 years of Victoria and Salvador's marriage were idyllic. They were young and healthy, and so were their daughters. They had a beautiful home that reflected their tastes and where they hosted lavish parties in honor of important dignitaries and favored causes. On the professional front, Salvador, already a partner with his father, uncle, and brother at the law firm of Araneta, Zaragoza, and Araneta, was moving towards a career in public service. In 1934, he was elected a delegate to the 1934-35 Constitutional Convention. He was also active in agriculture and industry, serving among other things as a director of both the Lopez Sugar Central and the Manila Railroad Company, and vice president of the Iloilo Negros Air Express Company, or INAIC, a commuter airline founded by Eugenio Lopez for travel between Manila and the Visayas. Salvador said his father's death in 1930 was an event that profoundly affected my life, so that my outlook changed from one of receiving to one of giving. In 1934, a group of Filipino businessmen, Salvador included, founded the National Economic Protectionism Association, or NEPA, to encourage Filipinos to buy Philippines. As the national chairman of the women's chapter from 1936 until sometime in the 1960s, Victoria promoted a return to native dress by wearing the Maria Clara, terno, balintawak, and kimono and patadyong to social events, and inspiring other women to do the same. Then, in the fall of 1937, on the occasion of their 10th wedding anniversary, Victoria and Salvador found themselves deliberating what to do for their good deed of the year. Victoria and Salvador built a schoolhouse, the Victoneta Free School, on the property to accommodate 100 students from 1st through 4th grades. Victoria herself taught the children religion, music, and even a little bit of physical education. Victoria, already a member of the Anti-Tuberculosis Society, decided she would leave the organization, which was called the White Cross. An aspiring writer, Victoria had written a screenplay based on the life of national hero Jose Rizal. When this did not materialize into a film, she repurposed the screenplay into a novel, On Wings of Destiny, with proceeds from its sale going to the White Cross. Victoria and the White Cross also benefited from her close relationship with President Quezon, who was well acquainted with Victoria and Salvador. President Quezon gave the White Cross the proceeds from the horse races at the San Lazaro racetrack for 1 year in order to cover their startup expenses. With the money raised, the White Cross was able to buy 4 hectares on Santolan Road in San Juan Rizal, where they built a resort, including a school and playground, to accommodate 250 children aged from birth to 7 years old. President Quezon, along with his wife, Aurora, formally inaugurated the Preventorium on September 10, 1938. They named it the Quezon Preventorium, although the honoree, a tuberculosis sufferer himself, said he felt it should have been named after Victoria instead. The Japanese entered Manila on January 2, 1942. When the admiral was seized, the Arenetas were given the option of moving into the old apartment building behind the admiral, owned by the Lopezes. The building had 4 apartments, but the 2 facing MH Del Pilar Street had also been requisitioned. The remaining 2 weren't big enough for the entire family, so they left Lola Ana there with her nurse and returned to Victoneta. With enough resources to survive, including a veritable Noah's Ark of cows, goats, sheep, pigs, chickens, pigeons, and ducks, the Arenetas did their best to lead a normal life. Gone were the school for the neighborhood children, the apartment building, the law practice, the parties, and trips around the world. But in the place of all that, they had the time to spend together as a family. We were thankful we had our girls, Carmen, Ana, Vicky, and Lina, Victoria wrote. We took the opportunity of being with them and enjoying the blessings of children. We became closer to them with leisure time and dedicated ourselves to them. While Victoria had lived the life of a party girl in her younger years, in her 30s she redefined herself and discovered not only a philanthropic spirit, but also an innate ability to make and manage money. It was largely through her initiative that the White Cross was able to raise enough money to buy 4 hectares of land and build a Preventorium said to have cost 150,000 pesos. It was her idea to build the Admiral Apartments, one of the first high-rises on Rojas Boulevard. And during the war, it was Victoria who managed the building and ran a little buy-and-sell enterprise on the side. In the post-war years, Victoria would join this illustrious group, albeit in an entirely different arena: education. What people may know as Fiati today actually began as another company that went by the acronym INAIC, or the Iloilo Negros Air Express Company, founded in 1932 by Victoria's cousins, the brothers Eugenio, or Enying, and Fernando Lopez. INAIC was the first Filipino-owned airline in the country and the first Asian-owned airline in the region. It was Henry Mitre, now a major with the U.S. military, who in February 1946 first proposed the idea of a school to supply Fiati with pilots, mechanics, and other technicians. Finally, Enying and the Aranetas agreed. In 1946, the Fiati Institute of Technology was incorporated. Although initially the school was known as the Far Eastern School of Aeronautics, it offered courses in airline mechanics, airline operations and engineering, and flying, and its 300 students occupy the third floor of the Paterno building, located at the foot of the MacArthur Bridge. When the school broadened its academic program to include courses in economics and engineering, it reverted to its original name, the Fiati Institute of Technology. In 1949, Fiati expanded physically, buying a 5,200 square meter lot on Helios Street across the Paterno building. As Fiati, the educational institute, was steaming along, Fiati, the airline, became a casualty of politics. Manuel Rojas's administration awarded Soriano's PAL many of the airline routes previously held exclusively by Fiati. Fiati reduced its fares, but this wasn't enough to maintain control of the market. Then, in December 1946, and again in January 1947, two Fiati airlines crashed, killing a total of 19 people. Fiati's reputation, not surprisingly, was severely damaged. Combined with the government's obvious favor of PAL, in 1947, this compelled Enying Lopez to sell the airline, including its 31 airplanes and Grace Park Airfield, to PAL for 3.5 million pesos. The Fiati Institute of Technology was granted university status in 1959. And on December 10, 1960, Victoria was formally inaugurated as the president of Fiati University. With the ceremony, presided over by the Philippine President Carlos P. Garcia, Victoria became the world's first female president of a technical university. Incidentally, by this time, she was also a doctor, having received in 1959 the degree of Doctor of Business Administration, honoris causa, from the Philippine Women's University. The distinction was granted in recognition of Victoria's outstanding leadership in business, social and religious circles, civic work, and in education. Victoria would remain president of Fiati until 1981, when she was succeeded by her son-in-law, Jose M. Segovia. Victoria proved a solid leader of the Fiati Bank and Trust Company, which remained a small but steady enterprise with branches extending to outlying provinces and Fiati employees among its shareholders. However, with the imposition of martial law in 1972 and the Araneta's sudden move to the United States and then Canada, Victoria's confidence in the bank's viability began to waver. In 1979, Victoria decided to sell the Fiati Bank to a group led by the Brimo and Madrigal families. The bank was renamed City Trust Savings Bank and eventually sold again to Citibank. In 1996, Citibank sold City Trust to its current owners, the Bank of the Philippine Islands, controlled by the Ayala Corporation. Salvador resigned as Secretary of Economic Coordination in 1952. President Magsaysay appointed Salvador his Secretary of Agriculture, a position Salvador held until 1955. Throughout this period, Victoria managed the Araneta Institute of Agriculture, going there in the afternoons after spending the mornings at Fiati. At AIA, Victoria inspected their imported chicks, Holstein and Jersey cows, and Duroc pigs and goats. showing particular interest in observing the animal's behavior. She ceded the reins of the agricultural school back to Salvador in 1955, and 3 years later, AIA was granted university status and became the Araneta University. Back in the private sector, Salvador resumed control of his agricultural school and with his wife branched out into other businesses. In 1957, Salvador founded Republic Flour Mills, or RFM, the first local flour mill in a country that does not naturally grow wheat. In subsequent years, he and Victoria would also create Fiati Industries to manufacture electrical motors and appliances, AIA Feed Mills, Republic Soya, Premier Paper, Rizal Light Rouge Corporation, Republic Consolidated, and Conglomerate Securities and Financing Corporation. They also continued to be involved with the Lopez Sugar Central and Fabrica Negros Occidental. Despite her full integration into the business world, Victoria's commitment to national, social, and religious causes never wavered. The White Cross continued to look after poor children, gradually enlarging its mandate to welcome also orphans and children of parents who had fallen on temporary hard times. In the 1960s, she was active in reviving the Manila chapter of the Zonta Club, a global organization of female professionals. As its president, in 1969, she led the rebuilding of the Manila Aquarium within the old Intramuros, a project that was completed by her successor, Ambassador Trinidad F. de Garda. A devout Catholic since childhood, Victoria was recognized by various religious organizations. In 1947, she received from Pope Pius XII the Pro Ecclesia et Pontifice, the highest papal medal that may be awarded to a layperson, and in 1948 was the first Filipina invested as a Dame of Magistral Grace in the Sovereign Military Hospitaller Order of St. John of Jerusalem of Rhodes and of Malta, popularly known simply as the Order of Malta. In 1952, the order awarded her its Cross of Merit, First Class with Crown for her outstanding and meritorious works for charity. Immediately after the declaration of martial law on September 21, 1972, the tightening of the country's freedoms commenced. Every form of communications, from newspapers to broadcast television and radio stations to international phone lines, was instantly shut down. Perceived enemies of the state were rounded up, the most prominent of whom was Senator Benigno Ninoy Aquino Jr. This group eventually would include members of Victoria's and Salvador's families, such as son-in-law Jose Concepcion Jr. and nephews Eugenio or Jenny Lopez Jr., Antonio Araneta Jr., and Enrique Araneta. It is believed Salvador, an open critic of Marcos, would have been added to this list had he been present at the Admiral when a group of soldiers came looking for him. Instead, he and Victoria happened to be in San Francisco, where they were visiting their daughters Carmen and Regina. An ocean away from their homeland, Victoria and Salvador took comfort in the presence of their family. In their retirement, Victoria and Salvador also had ample time to devote to their grandchildren. In fact, they had always been close to their grandchildren.
Hello everyone, my name is Tomas. I am the eldest grandson of Salvador Araneta. That's my lolo. Lolo was a very commanding figure. You would always feel his presence in the room. Aside from making sure that we got enough fresh air and sunshine by taking us to the beach every summer, he also wanted the family gathering to take place Sundays at lunchtime. So lunches were spent in the White House dining room. There was a long table in the dining room. So as a little boy, I would listen to the family oral history. Of course, being who I am, I wasn't really paying much attention to that. I was always excited about what the food would be because Lola and Lolo always had professional cooks. One of Lolo's favorites was chicken a la king. I love chicken a la king. There was one dish though that only Lolo could eat. He called it in his Spanish name, tortillas de seso. In English, it's cow brains. And he loved it. And he touted the benefits of eating cow brain. My fond memories of my Lola, Vic, was the idea of practice working. One summer, I think when I was about 5 or 6 years old, I was assigned to work at the printing press. It was collating pages for a pamphlet or a lecture book, I really don't remember. But I had to sit on the side of this rotating round table, and the table had different pages on it, page 1, 2, and 3, and so forth. You would always start with the last page, and as the table turned, you would work towards page number 1. After, you would bring your stack of papers, wrap them on the table so the edges all met perfectly with each other, put them on the stapling machine where they were stapled, and then they were folded, and you made a pamphlet. So I did that for many hours, and that was considered practice working, which really served me very well up to this very day. The best thing that she was able to impart to me was the value of repetitive work. I remember she was supervising the extension of the White House in Malabon. While the carpenters were working on the roof, they would throw down a lot of nails that were bent. So Lola would tell me, "Tomas, go around and pick up all the nails, bent nails that you see, and pile them up here on the side." So I would do that for hours and hours, and after I would have created a mound of nails. And then I thought that I was done. Then she would say, "Okay, now that you have piled up all the bent nails, go and straighten them." So I said, "Lola, how would I straighten them?" So she called Artemio, the carpenter, the foreman of the carpenters who were working on the roof, to show me how to do it, how to straighten it. I followed the master's instruction and became quite proficient at it. I realized that there was a lot of value to this because the nails were reused again, and I learned how to do repetitive work. So that's what I think that Lola impressed on me the most.
In addition, the grandchildren were invited to visit their Lolo and Lola at work. Cecile Segovia recalls campaigning with Salvador when he ran as a delegate for the 1971-72 Constitutional Convention, and being taught in Victoria's office at Fiati to type and sew, while her brothers and male cousins were sent to learn mechanics.
Remembering Lola Vic, as we fondly called her, is a woman who defines endurance. With a high school education, spoke many times of her experience during the Second World War, how she traded her silk curtains, goats, and cows for food, and realized how to barter to survive, and made friends with the Japanese military rank to stay alive. Reflecting back, that experience surely had a profound impact and contributed to her being an extraordinary woman, determined, well ahead of her time, a visionary, compassionate, truly accomplished, humble, inspiring, practical, gracious person, and not least of her traits, a miser. In her golden years, even with her worth, instead of turning the lights on, she would use a flashlight to get around at night. She to no end reminded us to recycle. Yet that was over 34 years ago when she passed. So she was already thinking well ahead, green and the environment. She also would have her children and grandchildren kiss her hand versus her cheek, and she would give you the Our Father blessing using the sign of the cross. As she settled down in Vancouver in exile after martial law, she continued from a distance her hold on Fiati, signing diplomas and her passion to guide. She enjoyed the company of her youngest grandchildren, the Santiagos and the Teodoros, and she remained young at heart. It gave her more time to share her wisdom that will surely pass on for generations. As co-founder and the first woman president of higher education in the Philippines, at Fiati University, she built a university that still fosters her core values, among them, look up young man, the past 75 years. Her imprint continues, on which is her legacy she passes on to each and every student, family, relative, and friend, to make for a better tomorrow and a lifelong give back to the community and the world. Lola truly made her mark in difference, a life full and fulfilled. A remarkable woman that 30 grandchildren and thousands of students have enjoyed knowing her. Lolo Sal enjoyed taking his grandchildren to Baguio and La Union, where he would love to teach us even at the beach. Along the way, he was always friendly to strangers. He campaigned for the Second Constitutional Convention and was unabashed at stopping along the way to meet with mayors and other politicians, even stopped at the street market and give unscheduled speeches. He was always generous, making sure to feed the poor. He was a thinker with great ideas ahead of his time. A look back at his accomplishments only underscores his contribution he left to the universities he founded and the impact it had to students, graduates, and the community at large he served. His example of working for the greater good for humanity is embedded in the motto he established for the university he founded, for God and country. Both Lolo and Lola brought many blessings to all and remain in our hearts forever. We miss them.
Evidence of Salvador and Victoria's vision, drive, and hard work remained scattered throughout Manila. The White Cross is still on Santolan Road, continuing its modern mission of providing shelter to orphans and abandoned children, and developmental assistance to low-income families. The Araneta University, which in 1978 was renamed the Gregorio Araneta University Foundation, then in 2002 started to be managed by De La Salle University, where it now goes by the name of De La Salle Araneta University. RFM is in its 50th year of business and has evolved from a flour mill into a multifaceted food and beverage company. And in 2021, Fiati University celebrated its 75th anniversary. In addition to its original mandate in science and engineering, the university now also offers degrees in visual arts, railway, communication arts, maritime education, information technology, business administration, and architecture. Through the legacy of its founders and the foresight of its current Chief Executive Officer, Francisco Fritz A. Segovia, Fiati University unceasingly fosters its long and rich tradition of academic excellence, powered by cutting-edge 21st century innovations for teaching and learning. It also embarked on a massive revitalization and remodeling of the campus facilities and workshop areas to align itself with the demands of modernization. The university prides itself with the impact of this urban landscape development, bringing Fiati to a whole new level in the city of Manila skyline. For the past years since its founding, Fiati has produced over 1 million alumni who have made their mark as leaders and achievers in various fields of endeavor and expertise across the country and around the world. After the professional achievements and philanthropic endeavors, Victoria and Salvador have left a lasting legacy in their family. She and Salvador were blessed with 5 daughters and 30 grandchildren. Its members are united by the memory of a brilliant, philanthropic mind who was ahead of his time, and a gracious lady with business acumen who was small of stature yet immensely influential. Using the experiences of their life, whether they were planned in advance or thrust upon them by circumstance, Salvador and Victoria always strove to teach their descendants solid, practical values: to be close to one's family, to have faith in God, to be kind and generous to others, to work hard, to turn off the lights and not waste anything.
That was a very informative AVP on our founders. Of course, we would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to the author of the digital book where the AVP content was lifted from. Thank you so much, Miss Bettina Teodoro, for sharing it to us. Big thanks also to your mom, Mrs. Regina Teodoro, who painstakingly collected photos of our founders and kept the diary of your Lola Vic. We are constantly in awe of their life, love, and achievements as we draw inspiration from them as our role models. Special thanks also go to Justin Teodoro, a great New York artist who sent some beautiful sketches of his grandparents, and likewise to some of the family members who took time from their busy schedule and sent us their video tribute to the founders. Let us now hear from them.
Here's my impression of Lolo and Lola in remembrance of Lola's upcoming birthday, for the love of God, country, and family. Doña Victoria and Don Salvador Araneta would not have been able to conceive of Fiati if it were not for their inherent love of God, country, and family. They inspire us to think larger than ourselves and for the love of community and beyond. May we all aspire to be like them.
My Lola loved to collect art and antiques. Her home was full of beautiful things. But when Lola Vic needed to buy equipment for Fiati, she sold some of her collection to fund the cost. It was perhaps a hard decision, made easier because of her love of Fiati. She knew that by her sacrifice, it would benefit many. Another story of Lola Vic was when she was invited to go to Malacanang during the presidency of Elpidio Quirino. When Lola Vic arrived and entered the hall, she was flanked by the Fiati honor guards that she brought for the occasion. She really knew how to dazzle and make an entrance. Everyone in Malacanang took notice. My Lola was very proud of Fiati and wanted everyone to know it. Growing up, when I would accompany my mom to Fiati, I would often look at my Lola Vic's aqua green metal desk. There, preserved in time, was a sheet of paper with the typewritten lyrics of Getting to Know You from the musical The King and I. It was one of her favorite songs. The lyrics read, "Because of all the wonderful and new things I'm learning about you day by day." This is perhaps what she'd like to tell us today, that learning isn't just for students, but for everyone. I'm sure my Lola Vic would be very proud of Fiati and its students, and I would like to thank everyone for preserving this tradition of learning that she worked so very hard for.
She was Mrs. Araneta, Doña Victoria, Manang Vic, or even the boss to many people. To us, we always remember her as simply Lola. Growing up with her in Vancouver during her twilight years, we had little idea of her great endeavors in the Philippines. For us, she was the Lola that beautifully cut our apples in the morning. She was the Lola that would dance ballet and the waltz with us after dinner. She was the Lola that would sneak to us candies and chips late at night. She was the Lola that we would snuggle with in bed when we were scared to sleep on our own. We now appreciate what great business, social, and civic leader she was in the Philippines. And we are so thankful for that legacy and how she has inspired us in our professional, social, and civic lives. But while we had little knowledge of these endeavors, growing up we always knew that she was a great woman, a tremendous lady, and the Lola who loved us with all her heart. We think of her and miss her every day.
I remember Lola Vic as a woman ahead of her time, not only in business and education, street smart, courageous, and supremely confident, but also who inspired us to do better. Lolo Sal was an extremely intelligent man who made us memorize a Spanish phrase or story before going to the beach in La Union, but was also a gentle and loving grandfather who always thought of those who were less fortunate. We were blessed as a family to have both of them as our grandparents and miss them dearly.
Fellow Fiatinians and my dearest mother. I call myself a Fiatinian because I studied flying at the Fiati Flying School at the age of 14. I learned how to fly before I learned how to drive. Mom, I thank you for the many times you brought me to Fiati with you. You also brought my children, my 3 daughters, to Fiati even when they were toddlers. You wanted them to be with you so you could watch them grow up. We had the playpen, we had the typing school for the three daughters, Stella, Mylene, Geraldine. Danielle was not yet born. You also asked your grandchildren, Vicky Santos Ocampo and Margie Segovia, to study typing. And they were like 4, 5, or 7 years old. They were under Mrs. Talents. You also taught them that they needed to know religion. So you called for your catechist and they studied, and their first lesson was on Deuteronomy. My 3 daughters studied under Professor Florentino Calip, painting, and after a while, they moved to a higher scale of learning under Ibarra de la Rosa, a very famous painter. When he was having his class, people would stop and watch him. They were not your students, but then they became Fiatinians in some way or other. You had also Dr. Santos, who organized the St. Peter's Society. And every year, he would be so happy to come to your office to tell you that he had been invited once again to bring the Fiati Band and the Presidential Honor Guards to escort the statue of the Black Nazarene in Quiapo. Dear Mom, there are just so many memories. And I must not stop until I tell you about you bringing my eldest daughter, Stella, who was only like 4 or 5, to the Luneta to watch your parade, to watch your ROTC and the marching band. You had also the maneuvers and fancy drill that everybody wanted to beat, but no one did. Mom, you heard Frank Sinatra sing, "I did it my way." You told me no. I did it God's way. Thank you, Mom, for doing it God's way. And as you would always end your speech with saying, "I love you all," for you I say to everybody, all you Fiatinians, faculty members, professors, administrators, maintenance, just all of you students, part-time and full-time, those whose parents sacrificed so much for you to get a better education than they did. Thank you very much for loving Viati. God bless.
Thank you, Ma'am Lina Santiago, Ma'am Carmen Segovia, Ma'am Cecile Segovia, Ma'am Danielle Lezares, Sir Tomas Segovia, Ma'am Carla Teodoro, and Ma'am Margie Segovia for your wonderful messages. Now, let us witness a performance of appreciation from these young men and women of Fiate Senior High School and College. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax, and enjoy their special numbers as a tribute to our founders.
Nagsasayawan imagine anything we've missed. Can't imagine anything the two of us can do. Through the years, you never let me down. You turn my life around. The sweetest days I've found with you. Through the years, I've never been afraid. I loved the life we've made, and I'm so glad I stayed right here with you. Through the years, I can't remember what I used to do, who I trusted, who I listened to before. I swear you taught me everything I know. Can't imagine needing someone so, but through the years it seemed to me I need you more and more. Through the years, through all the good and bad, I know how much we had. I've always been so glad to be with you. Through the years, it's better every day. You kiss my tears away, as long as it's okay. I'll stay with you through the years. Through the years, when everything went wrong, together we were strong. I know that I belong right here with you. Through the years, I never had a doubt. We'd always work things out. I've learned what love's about by loving you through the years, you never let me down. You turn my life around. The sweetest days I found with you. Through the years, it's better every day. You kiss my tears away, as long as it's okay. I'll stay with you through the bows and flows of angel hair, and ice cream castles in the air, and feathered canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's clouds illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds. the dizzy dancing way you feel as every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way, but now it's just another show. You leave them laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love's illusions I recall. I really don't know love at all. Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds, I've looked at life that way. But now old friends are acting strange. They shake their heads, they say I've changed, and something's lost but something's gained in living every day. I've looked at life from both sides now, from win and lose, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know life at all.
That was a superb performance from our talented students. Thank you so much. Please continue honing your singing and dancing skills and your other precious talents. Way to go, Fiatinians! And if Fiati has students oozing with talents, we also have students who have exemplary academic achievements and are truly deserving as recipients of Don Salvador and Doña Victoria Scholarship Grant. Here they are to express their appreciation as a fitting tribute to our founders. On this Founders Day, I would like to express my sincerest gratitude to our university. Fiati granted me the privilege of a 100% academic scholarship through the Don Salvador Scholarship Program. This privilege comes with a great responsibility that enabled me to push through my hardest, not only academically, but also on my overall growth as an individual. Fiati strengthened my character and patriotism, developed my accountability and leadership, sharpened my integrity, and made me realize that scholarship is beyond performing well academically. That scholarship is also about doing things that will instigate change to the betterment of the society. Thus, giving honor to the name of Don Salvador Araneta and a gratitude to the founders of the university.
Hello everyone, my name is Ira de la Cruz Amarante, third year BS Aeronautical Engineering student and a Doña Victoria Scholar since 2019. I am a third-generation Fiatinian starting from my grandfather, who graduated in 1965, and my father in 1987. I would always remember my grandfather telling me about how Doña Victoria offered him a job after he graduated. My 8-year-old grandfather has vivid memories of meeting Doña Victoria, whom he described as kind and giving. His is just one of many stories in history about how Don Salvador and Doña Victoria touched the lives of thousands of Filipinos, particularly Fiatinians. Who would have thought that almost 6 decades later, their name and legacy would still be known and alive in our family? Today, I join every Fiatinian, alumni, students, and faculty in honoring 2 people who made this institution what it is today, who laid the foundation for a bright future for Filipinos and every Fiatinian. Doña Victoria is an epitome of an empowered woman who made her way in a patriarchal world during her time. This scholarship grant encouraged me more to reach higher and see the sky as the limit. Thank you for the inspiration, dear founders.
Thank you, AC. Oh, wait. That's me. Thank you for this honor and privilege, and thank you, Ira. Let's keep it going. Fiati founders Don Salvador and Doña Victoria's vision to improve the lives of the Filipinos through education, employment, with the industries they put up, which led to the development of our country, has borne fruit and continues to do so. We would like to express our gratitude and admiration to our beloved founders through this song entitled Fiatinians Will, to the tune of I Will by the Beatles. Let us all join in singing as one Fiati community led by our employees.
Fiatinians highly regard you. You know we adore you so. We won't wait another lifetime to say you're sincerely admired. For if we ever met you, we'd tell you with all our might, but it never really mattered. Fiatinians feel the same. We hail you forever and forever, grateful with all our hearts. Fiati founders, every March 6th, a tribute is done for you. Let us applaud you once more, immensely indebted to you. We sing aloud so you can hear us, being with pride while you watch us. All the things you did inspire us all at all. We honor you. We hail you forever and forever, grateful with all our hearts. Fiati founders, every March 6th, a tribute is done for you. Let us applaud you once more, immensely indebted to you. We sing aloud so you can hear us, beam with pride while you watch us. All the things you did inspire us all at all. We honor you. We do.
Thank you so much. What an awesome rendition. As we are about to end this program, may we request everyone to join us in the singing of the Fiati hymn.
Look up and sing, now hail
Once again, thank you everyone for joining us in celebrating our annual Founders Day and the birth anniversary of Doña Victoria Lopez Araneta. Thank you for the concerted efforts in carrying the same goals and aspirations towards the future. May we request everyone to kindly stay for a while for the photos. Again, this is AC James C. Pajarito saying, Happy Founders Day, Filipinos!